welcome back, everybody. It's time once again to talk to the real world of sales, the real people really doing the most amazing things all around us, and how they sell themselves to the world. From the woman who's been selling her whole life, our sales coach, Ashley V. Welcome, Ashley.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, everybody. It's Ashley. Awesome to be here. We have a really great guest today, and we're going to get down to business. So we have Patricia Rae. She's an actress. She's an activist. She's an entrepreneur. She does everything. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to OC Real Radio, the real world of radio talk. Is that what it is?
We'll let that slide.
Something like
OC
that.
Talk Radio with the real world of
That's
sales.
it. OC Talk Radio. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Patricia, why don't you kick us off telling us where you grew up, where you're from, and how you got started in your career?
I am originally from New York. I'm from first generation from Colombian parents. They immigrated to the United States, and I was raised in Queens, New York.
All right.
And I just always knew I wanted to be an actress, so I just always followed that path.
Was it something like you had a talent for, or you did it as a hobby, or like how did you figure it out? Did your parents push you to do acting?
Never. My mom was very busy working, waitressing, working at Swing Line, making watches, and they didn't speak English. So I didn't learn I learned English on television, like watching Sesame Street and the Electric Company, the Carol
Mm-hmm.
Burnett show, I Love Lucy. So my whole world
Nice. Hmm.
was immersed in television. So I just, I wanted to do that. I wanted to be funny, and I was very like humorous, clownish kind of child. As soon as I realized I could make people laugh, that's what I wanted to do.
All right, I see. Yeah, that's amazing. You know that you're inspired by watching TV, and then you had to learn English from TV. Like that's really
Yes.
cool. So then how did you? So did you go to school? Like did you do any
Yeah,
acting classes or anything?
I went to, elementary school in New York, and as soon as I could join a theater company, that's what I did. And so I just kind of progressed through every grade because I moved a lot when I was a young girl. My mother, she, didn't like to stay in one place, and she got married like 3 times while I was growing up. So I felt like I had to be a chameleon. So theater was a great place for me to kind of fit in with people who didn't feel like they fit in either. So it was just like a playground and a place for where I felt safe being myself and being other people.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I think that's how it's kind of like imaginary. When you're doing acting, you get to play somebody else's life. So I think I can see that for sure. And it's really like having a business when you're acting. Like, how did you end up getting gigs and getting shows and parts?
It is exactly like having a business because the show part is the talent and the acting, but the business part of show business is you have to train, number one, so that you can have natural talent, but you can't command it if you don't have technique, right? So that's why it's
Okay.
very instrumental to take classes, especially for film and television. Once you start doing that, you really have to understand the medium so that you're not too big, so you understand how to stand in your spots so you're always lit. So that takes training, it takes technique. Then you have to have a pictures done, then you have to have a resume built up, and you have to start training also, like just doing being part of a community, going out there and doing theater, meeting other actors. That's how you find your like first agent, usually through
Okay.
recommendation.
hmm Okay. So yeah, I see. That's really good. I think that's it makes a lot of sense. Like I think that's really good advice, and it's really entrepreneurial. And you have to sell yourself. So how did you do that? Like, is there anything specific that you would do to promote yourself? Like, I don't know, did you have to dress a certain way, or you know, color your hair or anything like that?
Well, I try and keep my hair is pretty long right now. It
Hmm.
depends on what, demographic you're going for. Like, the demographic I'm in, my hair should be like shoulder length. And once you start to get older and you want to kind of cover your gray hair, you start to lighten it a little bit
Yeah,
because
I
the
think we all
camera.
do. Hmm.
Yeah, right. Because the camera reads your hair very dark, so you have to kind of have
Hmm.
highlights in it. So those little things that you learn, once you start working. Also, I recommend young actors to get on set doing extra work just so they can watch people work and start learning about the business, ask questions, listen, pay attention. Promoting yourself. The easiest way to promote
Yeah.
yourself
Hmm.
is to take a class
Okay.
like with a casting director or someone in the industry, and do theater because you don't have to
That's
be.
interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the union to do theater unless you're doing an equity production, but you can do
Okay.
theater. And a lot of times agents and managers go to theater to find fresh faces, so
Like
that's a great.
Broadway shows.
Broadway is not as
Okay.
easy to get into. Like you really have to
Okay. So other
be like,
other
yeah, like
theaters,
off
plays.
Broadway
Okay.
and in New York off Broadway, and just like theater companies that are taking
Okay.
in
Hmm.
members and becoming a part of a community.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Those are great tips, definitely. And I mean, there's definitely a lot of sales you have to do there. And what are some of the movies, shows, and plays that you've been in?
In New York, I was a part of the Intar Lab, which did a lot of original plays. I'm not supposed to tell you any of the theatrical stuff that I've worked on because of the strike.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into that. That's a whole different
Yes.
ballgame,
So,
right?
but I've done lots of television. I've been in films with very well-known, established actors, and it just took, it's a learning process, and you just have to kind of put the time into it. This took me 30 years. I was already an actress in New York. I came out here 21 years ago, and I'm
Wow.
still
Hmm.
hustling.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I like that hustling, yeah, for sure. And I mean, is it easier out here than in New York? Because there's a lot happening out there.
There is a lot more work here in terms of television and TV shows.
Hmm.
The thing that I find difficult is that out here, when they're casting Latino specifically, a lot of the roles are written for Mexican, which is
Okay.
great
Hmm.
because from being here for 20 years, you have your Mexican, dialect in your pocket. But a lot of times, these casting directors don't want to cast you if you're from South America because they want to cast Mexican people playing Mexican. So
What's the difference then? I mean, if you speak Spanish, so what does it really matter?
I don't know. It just they get very specific about that, and like
Wow.
Colombian
Hmm.
people, they let Mexican actors play Colombian. Like if you watch Narcos,
Okay.
some of the leads
Yeah.
in that show were
Hmm.
Colombian. Weren't Colombian, they were Mexican. But when I wanted to audition for this other show that was about Mexicans and it was shot in Texas near the border, they were very specific about the actors having to be Mexican, except for the leads who actually were Colombian.
That's
So
interesting. Is it
go
maybe
figure.
like, is it like because of the way you know, you look, your features, or is
Yes, I think
okay.
so. I
Mm-hmm.
think that I don't have the traditional Mexican, more of the round face and the kind of
Mm-hmm.
the more of the brown skin. My skin is very
Yeah. Kind of lighter.
uh,
You look like kind of Italian or mixed or something.
exactly. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
scream Mexican, so I get cast more as South American or Puerto Rican, more East Coast Latina than really
Mm-hmm.
West Coast Latina. So there is a difference, you
Yeah.
would think. So I just, what I ended up doing is I just play myself. You can only sell yourself, right?
Right,
So if
right.
you want a sarcastic, you know, kind of strong
Colombian New
personality,
Yorker, right?
then that's who I bring.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. You have to be yourself because I think, there's so much you can do acting and selling yourself, which is like an act. But that sounds good. I mean, and then you also do a lot of activism now, and that's kind of like similar to your job and what you were saying just now about competing, right?
Absolutely. Like, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is representation. In television, in film, in commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Latinos make up half of the population, especially in California. We're not being
Yeah.
represented.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm out there not just representing actors and the actors strike, but also, the underrepresented, the marginalized. And we need to be seen in roles that, you know, that give our children a hope and a glimpse of the future, that they can be doctors and lawyers, that they can go to school, they can better their lives. So
So you
we
mean,
need to keep pushing for that.
right? Yeah, no, I sort of, so you mean like roles that are just generic in those TV shows and movies where your background doesn't matter, really.
Exactly. Or she
Okay.
can be a Latina doctor. She could be a Latina lawyer. She could be, a tax attorney or whatever. It traditionally Latinos are not considered leads. They're not written into the scripts as leads. We're always like the second fiddle or a supporting character. When I was coming up, I played maids and prostitutes, drug addicts. My children were always like
Yeah.
victims.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
we need to get away from that and start portraying Latinos
Mm-hmm.
in the U.S. as, people that have educations, people that
Yeah.
are
Mm-hmm.
bettering themselves.
So why do you think that they did that in the movies in the first place? Like, is it because of the audience who's watching, or is it just who's running the movies and shows?
Exactly. I think a lot of the times, a lot of these shows were written by white males because that's just those are the people that get encouraged to write and go to film schools. Where we're not taught to be creative. You don't, if you see a big Latino family, you don't hear the parents going, if you want to write, go to school, go to film school, do, study. They tell you,
Yeah.
go get a real job and, go
Mm-hmm.
work, go do, manual labor, go. And so my motto's always been work less with your body and more with your mind.
Yeah, that's
Work
good.
smarter, not
Mm-hmm.
harder.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think all these like, hard labor jobs are going to actually wear you down at some point. And so you've been out on the streets actually picketing, holding signs, and striking with everybody.
Absolutely. Since
Mm-hmm.
the big day one, we've been out there for 75 days.
Wow.
We
Mm-hmm.
went back to the negotiating table with the CEOs of the AMPTP. So the head of all the studios were actually at the table this time, bargaining with our bargaining committee, and Fran Drescher, our
Yeah, she's
president
cool.
of
Mm-hmm.
SAG-AFTRA. Yeah, she's a really cool lady.
I saw her on
But
TV. She was like yelling and screaming because of everything happening and the. So why don't you tell us a bit about how it's been? Like there's salary problems that you guys are trying to fight for, and
yes,
AI,
we
and you said
haven't, as
inclusivity.
actors, we haven't gotten a raise in like over 6 years. Um, and
Wow,
the
wow.
biggest
Hmm.
problem is our residuals, which is if they repeat a show on network television, you used to
Yeah.
get
Hmm.
almost your full salary. And then every time they play it, you got a sliding scale of the original amount.
Okay.
Now, because all of these networks have a streaming platform, they put the repeat on the streaming platform and you get paid pennies on the dollar. So now we can't even afford to
Uh-huh.
pay for our health insurance. We can't
Wow. Oh my
afford to pay
gosh.
for our SAG dues. We can't afford to live. We don't even have
Yeah.
working
Wow.
wages right now. So that's
Oh my
the
gosh.
number
Hmm.
one
So
thing
it's
that we're
because of like
striking.
Netflix and like Hulu and all of these streaming platforms.
Yes, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime,
Hmm.
all of those platforms. They say they don't know how to monetize streaming, but they know how many viewers are watching it. Every time
Yeah,
you see, if you go on the Netflix splash page, you see number one show, 1 through 10, number
right.
two, number three.
I've seen it. I
How
watch
do they know
Netflix.
that?
Yeah.
Because they know how many viewers they have, so they can monetize it. They just don't want. They didn't want to give us the transparency of
I
knowing
see. Hmm.
really how many times a show is being streamed, because then they would have to, pony up. And now they're going to have to pony up because we're saying
Yeah.
we can't afford to live. We can't
Hmm.
even. We're not talking about the 2% that are famous, like the Tom Cruises and,
Hmm. Yeah,
the
George
Robin.
Clooney and Julia
Exactly.
Roberts. Yeah.
We're talking about the working actor, the one that you go, oh, I saw her on
Hmm.
this other TV show, but you don't know her name, you know?
Yeah, right, right.
We're familiar
Hmm.
faces. We're
Yeah.
just not household names. So
And that's funny
that's
because
what,
everybody thinks you guys are so rich if you're acting, but
no.
they don't know how it really is. Like, it's a struggle like every other
Just like
person
every
working.
other industry, we're the middle
Yeah.
class. There are doctors and lawyers that
Hmm.
they get, $1,000 an hour, or they get $100 an hour.
Right.
There's different tiers in every job. They're trying to basically squash the middle class actor. So that's what really we're fighting for. Um, the
Yeah.
other thing
Makes
is
sense.
that
Hmm.
this strike has gotten so much worldwide attention that it is perpetuating and motivating other union workers to go out in there and strike for their rights and for their fair equity. The steel workers
Yeah,
joined us
I've seen
last
this.
Friday at Warner
Hmm.
Brothers. The
Okay.
migrant workers, um, the hotel work union workers. So
Auto.
it's,
Hmm.
yep, auto. It's all about being a united front, because the
Hmm.
the disparity at this point between the top 2% and the rest of the middle class is getting, the gap's getting so big. We're going to have two
Yeah.
classes in America:
Hmm.
the filthy rich and poor.
It's already like that. I mean, pretty much. And
Yeah.
inflation isn't helping. It's making it
No.
worse.
No, absolutely. And even with inflation, and they haven't raised our rates. That's what we're saying is like everything costs more, but you haven't given us a raise in like 10 years. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
somebody's getting rich.
Right, right. I saw the salaries for these CEOs of all of these production companies. They make like 200 million a year,
Yes.
500 million a year. And
Mm-hmm.
what's like the average salary for your average actor actress?
Uh, I can tell you that on a really good year, me as a middle class actor, I can, if I'm very, very lucky, I'm talking like I was just on a series for 3 years. I was a recurring top of show guest star. So I got
Hmm.
paid the most you could get paid
Okay.
as a guest star actor besides the series regulars. And I was lucky if I was clearing 100,000 a year, and that's with
Wow.
doing six, seven
Hmm.
episodes a year. That's a lot. Most actors never
Hmm.
work that much in their whole lives.
How long does it take for each episode
What do
to
you
make
mean, to
them?
shoot?
Yeah.
Um, a week. So
Okay.
it's, yeah. So you're getting paid for a week's worth of work if you're booked for the whole week. Sometimes they only book you for one day.
Yeah, and
You
that's
get paid
for
less.
reoccurring, right? So if you worked maybe one episode or something, you would make like $1,000 or something.
Exactly. For one day's work, you make like $1,100. Now take
Yeah, that's
40%
tough.
out of that for the
Hmm.
government, 20%
Right.
for your agent and manager. So out of $1,000, you'll clear like $350 at the end of the day. What can you do with
Hmm.
$350 when gas is $7 a gallon over here in California?
Yeah,
Eggs are
for
six
sure.
dollars.
Hmm.
Milk is $6. You can't even
Right.
a,
Hmm.
a one bedroom apartment. I'm talking 800 square feet in California cost $3,000.
Yeah, I saw online recently. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's why a lot of people are moving or, they're going crazy nowadays and angry or living with family. And it's insane.
Yeah, a lot of people are leaving the state. We have the highest
But you
tax
can't because of your
bracket.
field too. You can't really move to the South or Midwest.
Well, I would have to move to the south. They do a lot of filming in North Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, Canada, New York, New Jersey because of the
Hmm.
tax breaks. So I would have to live somewhere on the East Coast where I could commute because a lot of most of the casting right now is being done self tapes, which you submit online. So basically,
Okay.
I could book a job that's shot in Georgia,
Hmm.
but if I'm saying I'm a local hire, because I live on the East Coast, I would have to get myself there. Because gone are the
Yeah.
days where they would cast you out of LA to play something in North Carolina and fly you there. That doesn't happen that
Yeah.
much anymore.
And then you have AI too that's happening. So they could use your face or a
Yes.
show, right?
What
That's
they
kind of
wanted to do is scan the likeness of a background actor, pay him for the day. I think the day rate's like $130, right? And use it in perpetuity wherever they want for as long as they want. Can you imagine that?
wow.
So, like, say
That
they
stuff
want
is
to
so
do,
creepy too. AI
yes,
stuff.
say they want to do like a scene where, like a movie like Gladiator, where they have thousands of people in the stands, right?
Like Avatar,
All
they did use it for that.
exactly. All of those are AI generated people.
Hmm.
And now what they
Wow.
want to do is take famous people, like Robin Williams' daughter was just talking about this online, saying that producers are taking her father's likeness and his voice and using it to sell their products, and
Oh my
she's
gosh.
getting no compensation for it.
Yeah, that's messed up for sure. And that's what I think it's like all the workers, all the businesses now are like having to deal with this technology advancing and like ruining things and
Yes.
making trouble. That's sad for sure. Yeah, that's
Well,
really
we have
bad.
to, AI is not going away, but we have to set boundaries and we have to learn how to work with it so that it enhances our work and
Hmm.
doesn't replace our work.
I see. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to get some compensation from it. And what are you doing for your part? Like, are you in the negotiations and stuff right now?
No, no, I'm not on the SAG committee or anything like that. I'm like a ground boots on the ground
Yeah.
kind
So,
of
so you're
person.
yelling at them on the street.
Yes,
Nice.
I pick it. I'm a motivated picker. I'm a rallier. I march. I have a
Nice,
big
nice.
mouth. I like to go out there and motivate people. Um,
That's good.
that's so I always tell people everyone anybody can be an activist if you're passionate about something and you want to fight for a
Hmm.
quality of life, and everybody's activism looks different. If you're good with people and you're good with writing, writing to letters, and write to congressmen, try and change legislation. If you're good with social media, put it on, be active on social media. So I encourage people to go out there and fight for the things that you believe in, because literally we're going to
Hmm.
be just one small poor middle class while the rest of the United States and the world starts accumulating wealth, and
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
not okay with me.
Yeah, yeah, me too. And a lot of people. It sucks. It's really terrible. It's getting worse day by day. And you
Yes,
and you talk about a lot of these in your podcast too that you
I
have.
do. My
A lot of these
podcast,
issues. Uh-huh.
Believe This, it's on Spotify and iTunes and Google Play and iHeartRadio. Um,
Awesome.
the podcast is my partner and I, Chris Krim. We talk about social issues from our different perspectives, and we don't always agree because I feel like in America, if you don't follow the status quo, if you don't, jump on the bandwagon of saying what everybody's saying or believing and not questioning anybody. Everything has an agenda. If you follow the agenda, you can start making choices for yourself and making your own decisions. And that's all I
Yeah.
wanted. I wanted a platform where I had a safe space to question things, uh, social issues, hot topics, and we go to toe every week on the show, and we don't always agree, especially because he lives in Florida and he's super liberal, and I live in California, and I'm a little bit more moderate.
Oh,
I
that's
do
interesting.
believe.
I thought you guys would be reversed then.
I know it is, and it makes for a really good. We have a good rapport, um, and it makes for a really good listening podcast because it's very, very animated.
Yeah, I've listened to some of your guys' episodes. It was really
Oh,
good.
which one did you listen to?
There was a few, like obviously the one about SAG, and then one
Oh, that
about
was
like
a good one.
religion, and there was another one. It was, I don't know, like one of the first ones where you guys were introducing your podcast. But you have really
Oh,
good topics, a lot of good topics, like what's happening recently in the news and stuff. And I think you guys had good views and good advice. So I think, yeah, definitely everybody needs to tune in. And they can
oh,
follow
thank
you
you.
on social media, right, Patricia?
Yes, Ashley, thank you so much. We're on
Yeah.
Twitter at Believe This 23 and on Instagram at the Believe This Podcast. And if you guys are interested in emailing us, we're at BT4U, the number 4, BT4Upod at gmail.com. And follow me on Instagram at the Patricia Rae, and also on Twitter at the Patricia Rae, and Chris Krim,
And
CRIM,
and
on
Patricia, how do you spell Ray?
RAE, Patricia Rae.
Okay.
When I was a young girl, I wanted to be more marketable, talking about trying to sell yourself and sell your uh, sell your goods as an actor. I Americanized my name because my last name was
Okay.
actually Loza, Loza. And when I
Mhm.
would go into castings, casting directors would actually say Patricia Lopez.
Oh my
And I'd be
gosh.
like,
Okay.
can you not read? There's no P in there. There's no
Right.
P. There's no E. It's Loza. And it just drove me crazy. And the other thing was, I
Mhm.
was like, why do I need to? I'm American. I'm first generation American. I wanted to
Yeah.
be able to play anybody. I didn't want to be typecast. So I changed my name many years ago to Patricia Rae.
So Ray is the name you made.
Yeah, it's I like
Okay.
Norma Ray
Yeah, that
and
happens a lot.
Faye Ray, so I dropped the Y
Nice.
and I just kept the RAE. A
Okay.
nice
Okay.
Jewish
Cool. Cool.
spelling. I grew up with a lot of Jewish people, so.
I see. Okay. That's really good. That's definitely important for branding and marketing your name for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But if you can't remember somebody's name, how are you going to find their product?
Right. Exactly. That's so true. Well, Patricia, you had awesome advice. Everybody go to her Instagram, her Twitter, listen to her podcast, and make sure that you tune in because there's a lot happening with SAG, with TV shows. We want to watch our TV shows. We want to see everybody compensated.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much. And you
For
guys are
sure.
welcome to join us on the picket line. We're still fighting. We're still out there. And, if other unions need help and they need, voices and community, reach out because we'll come out. I'll come picket for you with you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Patricia, for being on the show today. We
Oh,
appreciate
thank
it.
you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And how do we plug your book, Ashley?
My book, everybody, is called Ferocious Sales Skills. It's red. There's a wolf on it. It's on Amazon, iTunes, and Barnes& and Noble websites. So you can go ahead, listen to it, buy it, and read it. It's really helpful.
And how do they find the real Ashley B?
Me, well, you guys can see me on Instagram, and you can look up the Real World of Sales show, and then you guys can message me there.
Okay. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. Well, there you have it. One more reason to tune in each and every time to the Real World of Sales right here on your only real digital community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Field Applied Innovation Center.